Starting the recording. Hey everyone. This is episode 497 of the OotiniCast. This is the raw version of the show that goes out with all flubs and flaws intact. And then we take the video of the raw version that goes up on YouTube, we clean up the audio, and that becomes our podcast. So let's see. Let me go ahead and get this going, and then we'll try to tweet this out.
Try.
Yeah. Try indeed. I'm gonna try adding a little bit more, maybe like adding more text will help, and then adding the link. I'm wondering if it's that.
Who knows?
Okay, is that right? Looks right, but it's not showing the little... Oh, okay, let me try it. Nope, it did not work. We're doing this again. Yeah, it's getting worse. All right.
I'm doing it over on Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotcha.
I don't know why it works on my desktop on my personal account, but not on the OotiniCast account.
Oh.
But anyway, it did work, and we're good to go. Pretty much, actually. Let me shrink down my notes some more so I can see better. There we go. All right, and we'll just I can always repost it. That's not a problem. It's just getting it to actually post. It's very weird that way. All right.
I don't see it. Still.
It definitely went up. I saw it on when I went over to the actual Otini account.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay.
Reposted.
Okay. Are you about ready?
Hi, I'm ready.
Alrighty. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that, when it gets a translator, makes sure it speaks Bocce. This is episode 497, being recorded on Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. I'm your host, Chill. With me is my co-host, KittyKissz. Hey, Kitty.
Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Hey, what you been up to since the last show?
You almost got me with that one. I was like, where is that going? That doesn't sound familiar. Got it. Yeah. Oh, I have been playing a lot of story.
Okay.
I just finished playing my Captain Karen McBusybody.
Right. I saw you playing that a couple times.
Yeah. And I managed to get all of the companions that I could as HK as I could. So she had like an army of HKs.
Oh.
Like Lana, Theron, anybody that could actually wear that HK hat,
right.
And then a complete cyborg body.
Right.
It was pretty funny.
Did you use a combo to do the bodies, or did you have like one set that worked for it?
One set that pretty much worked, although after a while I was like, I kind of liked a boot, a certain boot better.
Okay.
I think it was Cyborg 512 and 212. A combination of those two, and then of course the HK hat. But it was pretty funny because in the scenes there's just everybody was an HK. The scene in the chapters where Kaleo and Jorgen are out on the mission.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So they're up HK'd out on the hollow, and then everyone around me was HK'd too. So there's like 7 HKs all looking at, what's going on. And it just constantly cracked me up. So I think that might be a running theme in tunes for a little while. In fact,
that's funny.
Now that I've got her all done, I started a new tune called Qui-Gon Wild,
okay.
Which is going to be... I can't take credit for that. I started off with Qui-Gon wrong or Qui-Gon bad. Then I threw it out to chat, and someone else came up with Qui-Gon Wild, and I was like,
right. That's
gotta happen.
That's
the
right.
winner. So I made him a concentration sentinel, and I'll probably choose a second class as a shadow or something like that. But Qui-Gon Wild.
That's funny.
I was going to make him like a bad guy. So like pretty primarily evil and psychopathic and all that kind of stuff. But then I thought, I think it might be more fun to play him like Qui-Gon, but like a horned up Qui-Gon.
Okay.
So he's going to be
Flirting
constantly
away.
flirting and stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm just going to kind of play it like that for a little bit and see how his characteristics eventually evolve throughout the story and stuff like that. But
fair enough.
It's going to be pretty fun. And I think everybody, all of the companions that I can, I'm going to be dressing up like Shea Vizsla. So it's going to be like an army of Shea Vizslas. And what's funny is that because they all have that helmet on,
yeah,
they're really hard to tell who's who until they talk.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. But so I've got probably 4 companions. Well, I think only 3 companions anyway. Kira I just got Kira. So I Kira'd her up. Hexid and what was the Jedi Master? The Chiss. I've got her dressed up like Shea Vizsla too. So that's going to be, I'm looking forward to that because once you get a whole bunch of them and they're all in one room, it's quite ridiculous looking. Stas can tell you, he's been there with the HKs and, you know, like a bunch of companions dressed up like HK.
Right.
It's pretty funny, but
nice.
I'm looking forward to that. And again, I'll be able to tell you what Qui-Gon Wild is turning out like, because I like to kind of have an arc.
Yeah,
you know, I like to start him off bad and then make him good, or start him off good and then make him bad. But I don't know, it just might be kind of fun to have him like a lecherous sleazebag, you know, but because Qui-Gon is such an awesome character and he has so much integrity, you know, it might be kind of funny to play a Qui-Gon Wild.
That's gonna be fun. Yeah, for
sure.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. Next, I made my Smurf for the next PvP season over on Starforge.
Right. So we're gonna hold off until the next PvP season. Should be a few weeks off. We don't know exactly when it's starting yet, do we?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Right, and the last one just finished like around the time of the last episode.
Yeah. So
and and if you want to do occasional PvP until before then, we'll do it on our Hybees.
Yeah, sure. That sounds fun.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. She's Shooty Smurf.
Nice.
I made her a, what is it? Dirty Fighter. Okay. So I have no idea how that's going to play, but I know that I can always go back on Gunslinger because I played Gunslinger for years as my operations character. And that is a great PvP, PvP DPS, you know, tune, but I really want to get that dirty fighting down. It's really fun.
Okay, good.
It's a lot more fun. It seems like it's a lot more
as opposed
mobile.
To the lethality one.
No, I'm like as far as going from Dirty Fighter to Gunslinger.
Oh, okay.
Gunslinger seems, you know, like a turret.
Yeah, it's very turrety.
Whereas the Dirty Fighter seems a lot more mobile. Like you're wanting to run around and huck things at people and then spread your dot around, stuff like that. But
because even exactly.
It's a nice
even the
break.
call is not a hard cast where you have to sit still.
And you got to get up close and knock them to get your super punches or whatever they are. Anyway, but I'm looking forward to that. So she's all made. She's ready to go. I think she's only like level 2. What did you get yours up to?
I'm not sure exactly, but something like 16.
10? 16? Okay.
Because we finished Coruscant. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or Dromakas, actually. Because I think the idea was that we all do bounty hunters. So.
Dromakas? You mean Hutta?
Well, Hutta and then Dromakas.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you got through all that. Okay. Okay, cool. Then I will get up to double digits too.
Cool. Yeah, I usually try to get to where the character has their ship at least. That way,
Okay.
if we want to do something that, I don't know, doesn't really make all that much difference, but
Yeah.
it
And
feels
we
like a
can
good
always-
starting point. And also, like, if you're like level 10, you're pretty weak. Like if you haven't,
you suck.
if you haven't even gotten to 15, and it's better to get a little higher where you've got like, like maybe your interrupt and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's usually what, 18, 19, something like that. So,
And we can always, bounce up and do a bunch of flash points together. I thought that was really fun.
Cool.
And that goes pretty quick. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. The last thing I've got going on is that I played some WoW for
Nice.
probably, I want to say, the second or third time. And I streamed it with Kitty on Sunday,
Okay.
which is it was really, really fun because Kitty and I don't really play a lot of games together. She's a WoW player. I'm a SWTOR player. And I was just like, having something together that we can both share and have fun and stream together.
Right.
I think we're going to make it a Sunday thing.
Okay,
So I'm
cool.
going to change my schedule up again. So it will be Wednesday to Sunday, but Sundays will be WoW.
Right. And because
But
you're
it's-
doing it with her, you're still spending time with her like you wanted
Yeah,
to.
and it's really fun because she's really, really good at WoW. She's been playing it for,
Forever,
14
yeah.
year or something like that?
Right.
So
Do you have like some
She
end game
can-
level characters already, or are you really starting from scratch?
I think I'm level 18.
Wow. So yeah.
Yeah.
Super
So,
young.
and I suck at it. I'm like, I don't know where I'm
Are you
going.
trying
I
multiple
don't know what to
characters? Are you
do.
already alt
No.
hauling?
I made a character a while ago and I just didn't like it.
Okay.
I didn't like it at all. And she said, well, you should probably play something that's a little easier and maybe reminds you of SWTOR. So I went warrior or whatever,
Okay.
fighter. And I've been having a lot of fun.
Nice.
He's like a fox. So he's like super small and he's got these big axes. And I
Cool.
like the dragonfly stuff. It's really cool. Really, really cool. So I've been having a lot of fun. And that's something that, we can do together. And
yeah.
I'm looking forward to Sundays. So my schedule will be changing again.
And then so Monday and Tuesday will be off, correct?
Monday and Tuesday are off.
Okay.
That's my days to do stuff around the house and
Cool.
all that kind of crap. But I'm looking forward to it. So come on by if you guys want. I'll be there.
All right.
And that's
Sounds
it
fun.
for me, Chill. I'm passing the baton on to you.
All right. Let's see. So let's say hi to the chat room. Japeo's here. Immortalized Love is here. Stask is here. Let's see. Who else? Kitty Treats is here. Starry Saber. Hello, everyone. And let's see. So, yeah, what I've been doing since last show. Actually, I just guested on another podcast slash YouTube channel. They also do the YouTube thing like we do. It's called Trek Wars and Fantasy, and you can find them on YouTube as well as on, like I say, on podcasts. It's Star Wars, Star Trek, and some other sort of, sci-fi slash fantasy stuff. We recorded this Monday, and the episode is going to come out probably on Friday. So even though I've done it, it's not out yet. It'll be out in a couple of days, and I'll keep an eye out, and hopefully when they do all the social media stuff, I'll be able to help them with that a little bit and do some reposting and all that good stuff. There are a couple of guys, they're in Britain. I didn't actually ask them exactly where. I probably should have, but in Britain, they have British accents, and when they said we start at blah 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 time, they use British Standard Time. So, so they're definitely from Britain. I didn't ask where, but very nice guys. Had a lot of fun. And apparently when they have a guest on, what they do is like a theme. In this case, the theme was locations. So each of us chose 5 locations and we talked about them. So mine were all Star Wars / SWTOR related, of course. And then they chose some Star Wars and some Star Trek ones. And fortunately, like I was able to follow along. Like it was even the Star Trek ones that they chose were famous enough that I knew what they were about. So
Nice.
that was pretty cool. A lot of fun to do. Very, very nice guys. They've also got a lot of shorts and other things on their channel, so you should check them out if you like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So again, that's Trek Wars and Fantasy, and there you go. So that's that. I've been leveling my Michael Dukakis cosplay. He's still skank tanking. He just got to level 78 because what I did is I got to the end of Yavin 4 and it's like, I don't really want to do the story. I just want to get him to 80 because I still want to try PvP, but it's just not, it hasn't been popping. Even the Hybe, the couple times that I tried it, wasn't really popping either. So I just want to get to 80 so I can actually try PvP in skank tank gear on the Shadow. I think that'll be fun to try. So, but I got to get him to 80 and he's not quite there. So we'll work on that. And, you know, it doesn't really matter if it takes a while. It will make it work. Yeah. And I also made my Smurf themed skank tank. So I'm going to try now the third tanking style. And this time, again, in skank tank gear. And so this time it's going to be power tech.
Yes.
Yes. And so I've got a pretty good outfit for him. He's just, and then I have Mako dressed up as Smurfette, so she's got like the white mini dress going on with a little white hat, and she looks actually pretty cute in it. Actually, to be fair, and it's been a lot of fun so far, and I'm looking forward to trying that some more.
What's your character's name?
Just Chill Smurf. Pretty simple. Because it wasn't based on a particular Smurf necessarily, so I couldn't have named him, you know, Grumpy or one of the other ones. And I looked, but Chiss don't have beards. There's no beard options for Chiss. So
Or Papa Smurf, right?
Yeah, so I couldn't do the Papa Smurf one, which I think I probably would have tried to go for, but yeah, so he's just a generic Smurf. So
Excellent.
And let's see. So that's been really fun, actually. So we're all ready to go, I guess, next PvP season.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I'm also looking forward to finishing up and getting Lollipop Chainsaw a little higher because I have been enjoying her when we do PvP together.
Yeah.
But we've kind of taken a break, and hopefully we'll get some in the next week or so. And because that's fun too. And I think it's, I haven't gotten to the end, and I really haven't PvP'd on Dukakis because he's on Satil Shan. I just haven't been able to.
It's just every time I hear it.
Yeah.
It's just like, you should send him a picture of it and be like, hey, I got a character.
The only cosplay of you ever. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. It feels more powerful in Lollipop Chainsaw than it on the Guardian / Juggernaut type tank than it does on the Shadow. But there's some good things about the Shadow tank too, even in Skank Tank gear. So yeah, the Cascading Debris really hits hard because that whole spec, it's like everything sort of does roughly the same amount of damage, and then Project does a little bit more, and then Cascading Debris is like 50% more per global for 2 globals because you're channeling it, and it just hits hard. Even as a tank, it's like definitely your hardest hitting ability. And now that he's actually got like crit and he can actually like hit really hard with it, and he's also got high up in the tree that there's a couple things that buff the damage of it. It really seems to do pretty good damage. It's really going to be interesting to see how that works in PvP. So, and you still have some reasonable AoE because you have a couple of fairly short damage abilities that do pretty solid AoE on a 9-second cooldown. So you can use 2 of those globals in 9 seconds for those, and then you could spam the little spinny if you need to. But basically, you want to be able to use Cascading Debris as much as you can and get that channel going. And you also have I also took the choice, so whenever I taunt someone, when Cascading Debris hits, or anything else, but I use Cascading Debris on purpose because every time it ticks, so it ticks 4 times in 2 seconds, and every time it ticks, it gives me the 2% heal back.
Oh, crap.
Over the course of a cascading debris, I can get 8% of my health back potentially.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, people will interrupt it when they can and stuff like that. They'll have to stun me actually now because I'm high enough that I also have some interrupt protection against cascading debris as well, which is pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
So, unless I'm being hard stunned, it's going to be good. And I'm looking at different tacticals. I could, because there's not a lot of. I mean, that feels like a pretty good self heal, but that only works when I've got a taunt going. So it only works for like one cascading debris, and then I have to use the other taunt, and then I can do it again, and then I have to wait for the first taunt to come back, stuff like that. So it's like it's a reasonable amount of self healing, but it really doesn't add up to that much compared to say focus defense on the Guardian, which is, can basically take your whole health bar and bring it back, or the Culto infusion that can take you like from almost nothing to sometimes up to 60% or whatever those improved versions are. So not a lot of self-healing, but I could take the healing tactical, and as soon as I drop below 20%, it shoots me up to it's 80-90% before it stops healing. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's what that is.
That one, yeah. It's got like but then it goes on a 10-minute cooldown.
Right.
So
because I've seen that in PvP, and I'm going, what the hell is that?
Right. So it's like sometimes it's like, that's not a juggernaut. They don't have focus defense or
that's
focus
exactly
range defense or
I'm
focus
thinking.
defense. So where's all that healing
minute.
come? It can be.
And
from
I'm like,
that.
where's the healer? I don't see a healer anywhere.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, it makes sense.
Life Warden. I think that is the name of it. Yeah. Life Warden. But there's other ones that are potentially good too. There's there's the 2 cloaks if I want that. Although if you're a tank, cloaking doesn't work as well, because if you have someone guarded and you're close enough to share damage, the damage from that will pop you out of stealth as well. Right. So cloaking is not, it's only so in tank stance. There's also one where I can take my kinetic ward, the little 15 stack thingy that throws rocks around me, and I can't remember what it looks like on the other side, probably lightning or darkness of some sort. And it takes as many stacks of those as you have left. It wipes them, but then you get when you use your defensive cooldown, the little 3-second one, it extends it by up to 4 seconds. So all of a sudden you're almost immune to tech and force damage. Instead of for 3 seconds, which is just 2 globals, it's for 7 seconds, and all of a sudden they kind of have to deal with it. But I'll probably still stick with the healing one, at least as sort of the base, and then when it goes on cooldown, whenever I can, I'll swap back to the other one. Right. So yeah, good stuff. Let's see. Tonight, I'm looking forward to a classic in sci-fi. So the local theater here, so this is live theater, is putting on RUR, which is short for Rossum's Universal Robots. And it's a play from 1921, and it was where the word robot comes from, is the first use of the word robot. That's why we have the word robot, is because of Rossum's Universal Robots. And it's one of those that's kind of like well known and well regarded in the sort of sci-fi circles, but it's not cool. It's not something that would be casually known, because they've never made like a big movie out of it or anything like that. But I'm looking forward to it. It's supposed to, apparently it's like sort of, and it touches on sort of the same things that you might touch on with a robot story today, where apparently the robots are treated as the things that they, in this case, that they technically are. But then what happens when someone tries to treat them in a different way? Apparently, I've never actually seen it before, but I'm looking forward to it. And cool. So that's actually happening in like less than 3 hours. So what'll happen as far as the editing of the show goes is we'll finish this. I also have to eat. I'll try to edit and get it all done before we go, but I might have to finish it tonight when we get back. But that shouldn't matter too much. It should work either way. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And that'll bring us to the tip of the week. And speaking of using different tacticals, you can put tacticals on your action bar and then use those buttons to switch between them. At least, when the game allows you, which is basically out of combat and certain other situations where you're not allowed to do it either. I'm hoping I'll be testing that once I do PvP, and then I'll see does it allow me to always switch in PvP war zones, or is it only like between rounds, or in an arena? Can I switch if I manage to get out of combat, or do I have to wait till between rounds or whatever? So
it's a game changer that could potentially be really beneficial.
Yeah, in the case of the healing one, I did test it, and I just I put my companion on passive, went up against a gold star, and just sat there and let them wail on me, so that it forced it to tick. When it went on the cooldown, it shows as a debuff, a 10-minute debuff. It doesn't do anything to the bar on like the little icon of the tactical on the bar, because it's not technically an on-use item. It's it's just a tactical that has an effect, and the effect has a cooldown, but it doesn't actually change what the tactical looks like on the bar. So I can't use that to determine if it's on cooldown or not. I have to actually look for the debuff, but that works okay. But yeah, I can then just switch between them out of combat, just switch. It doesn't require a global or anything, so it's very fast. It's almost too fast, because it doesn't change anything visually, so I almost, it makes me want to bring up my character screen so I can actually see if it switched. But anyway, I can do that, and it'll be pretty nice. I've already tried it a few times, so basically just anytime my character happens to pop it, then the next time I get out of combat, I just click the button and I'm good to go. So yeah. All right. So if you have a tip of the week, send it to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show for a chance to win a Tonfon, M83RR, or M2B9 droid code courtesy of Broadsword, and also a 450cc code as well.
Get those tips in, you guys.
Yes.
Free cartel coins.
And speaking of codes, also if you and especially on the live show, we're working our way towards the 500th episode. So we have a couple more episodes and then the 500th. So we're going to start giving out codes, not today, because like I said, I'm a little worried about time, but we're going to start giving out codes these next couple episodes and on the 500th episode as well, because we have the codes. We've sort of been slacking off giving them out, and it's time to fix that. And so we're going to probably do that with some pretty big amounts of codes. So cool. if you like any of the codes that are given out to the content creators, you have a pretty good chance of getting them here in the next few episodes for sure. So we hope to see you on the live show. All right, that'll bring us to the Mind Trap. And we asked, what companion that doesn't have a full romance yet would you like to have one for? And the ones we chose were sort of the more, it still could be kind of anyone. Like we didn't choose one from the class stories. So we asked Senya Tural, Paxton Rawl, Major Anri, and Shay Vizsla. And pretty good amount of votes, almost 300 votes. Major Anri won with 42.7% of the vote. Not too surprising. There's already sort of a flirt arc with her.
Yeah.
It's not really a full romance yet, but you can definitely flirt with her a little bit and sort of go on a date in a weird way. It doesn't really, it doesn't seem to be like a big deal or anything, but it just sort of anyway. So Shay Vizsla got second, 29.2% of the vote. Senya at 23.7%, and then Paxton Rawl with just 4.4% of the vote. Really very low. Poor Paxton, yes. But he's got a fun voice, and he probably would have a fun romance arc, I imagine. But yeah, and then people were the responses were whatever. They were fine. I noticed that Kitty Treats wanted Dr. Loken though, so that'd be pretty fun too. And it's technically every character can get Dr. Loken. He is one of those companions. You can get him on any class because he's one. You just have to use the Rakghoul events to bring him back. And I voted for Major Anri myself. I just thought that would be interesting, and of course my curiosity is piqued by the fact that you can flirt with her already. Yeah. What was your answer, Kitty? Which one did you vote for?
Senya, man.
You like Senya? Nice.
Senya, hell yeah. She's I know that she has like two phases, and she's got the, all right, I'm just Senya right now, and then she's got the, all right, now I'm a knight. And I know that there's I'm going to get frisky Senya. Right. And that's what I want to see.
Right. As opposed to ruthless enforcer Senya.
Yeah. I'm not into that.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. She
Yeah.
actually came as a pretty close third because Shea Vizsla was 29% of the vote,
Yeah, it's not
and
bad.
Senya was 23%, almost 24% of the vote.
Well,
so
another
not
thing
that far
is
behind.
Shea Vizsla and Senya are both older characters.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so is Loken. It'd be nice to see some, even us pre-geriatrics, we still like romance.
Exactly.
So it's not just you young folks out there.
Right. I mean, I get it.
Fumbling
Yeah,
around in the
exactly.
dark.
Because the characters, all 8 classes, do canonically start at a pretty young age. You
Yeah.
can sort of cheat it a bit, but they're, and depending on which class story you're talking about, but they're all pretty clearly, sort of young up and comers in their respective fields. You're
Right.
a new agent, or you're you're a bounty hunter who's just starting to make a name for himself, or you're a Padawan who's almost on the cusp of becoming, ready to start becoming a knight, stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. That's right. The players can be any age, so there you go.
Yeah, that would be really cool, to have Arkin call me daddy too, like have that awkward conversation with Arkin.
Nice. You have to dress up everyone as Arkin sometime. Put them all in that little half mask and everything.
That's a great idea.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. I think, yeah. I do that already? No. I just did that with, sometimes I just dress up Theron weird.
Ah, okay.
And I've had him, but that's a good idea. I got all the stuff. Yeah.
Nice. All right, then I guess we'll go on to Cantina Talk. This is an occasional segment we do where we pick out one of the voice actors from the literally hundreds who have voiced for SWTOR over the years, and we've talked about many of them. This time we're doing Peter Renaday, and this is an RIP because he did pass on since the last episode, so he unfortunately did die. And he did quite a bit of SWTOR voices in the original SWTOR. So he was also the voice of Exar Kun in the Real Tales of the Jedi audio drama, so that's pretty cool. And I'll talk about what he does in SWTOR in just a sec. I wanted to talk about, because he had a fairly long career. He started in 1963. This may be the Cantina Talk where we have like the person with the earliest first credit in IMDb. So he's on General Hospital of all things, the soap opera. He had a short, just like I think it was like 1 or 2 episodes on General Hospital in 1963. And then he started getting a bunch of roles under the Disney umbrella. So some of them were live roles and some of them were voice acting. And this would be on the Mickey Mouse Anniversary Show, a couple of small roles in the movie The Aristocats. He was on The Love Bug, which was live action. The Shaggy DA, the Rescuers.
These.
Yeah, these are all big ones from Disney of the period, and a lot more. And so he's sort of he sort of ran in that sort of Disney sort of field. We've had 1 or 2 other voice actors who did sort of do the same thing. Like apparently just back in at that time period, if you started doing Disney stuff, you started getting a lot of Disney work. Like, once they notice you once, then like you're sort of in their files and they keep calling you back, that sort of thing. He did, however, branch out a little bit. He didn't stay with the Disney thing forever. He got voices on Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, Alvin and Chipmunks, and a bunch more. This would be now into the 80s.
The Rescuers.
Yep. He kept doing on-screen roles occasionally, but they became less and less over the years. He became more and more of strictly a voice actor. Even by the 1980s, this was becoming pretty predominant, where he was doing almost all voice work. He was in the Black Cauldron. He was on G.I. Joe, The Transformers, and those were some of the roles from that period. His roles tended to be small, but he was clearly a workman, getting multiple roles every year. In fact, the number of roles he was getting every year actually went up during the course of his career, which is pretty cool. Like, from 2000 on, he actually had like multiple roles every year. So really cool. In the 90s, he did some work for Batman the Animated Series and the Batman Mask of the Phantasm movie, which is pretty cool. again, pretty small roles. If you look at it, it would say something like, janitor or, thug number 2, stuff like that. In the 2000s, he continued building this repertoire. He did Archer, the English version of Howl's Moving Castle, a bunch of video game voices at this point, including Metal Gear Solid, Fallout New Vegas, and a bunch more. And then, and he did SWTOR. So in SWTOR, he had a number of roles. The way that a lot of folks who didn't, like if you did like the class role, then you tended to take only a few extra bits because they didn't want to make like the voices like too obviously like reused, I think. But for the people who took some of the smaller roles, they get a bunch of them, and that's what he did. He got a bunch of them. But the biggest one was Warren Sidoru, which is pretty cool. He's in the Knight story multiple times. He's the Jedi Knight who has a bunch of scars on his face. And eventually...
oh, right.
Yeah, eventually the Emperor sort of like takes over his mind, and you end up having to fight him at one point, and what happens there is sort of up to you. But yeah, you do end up fighting him at one point. But you actually see him like multiple times before then, because he's on the council, I believe, and then you see him where you first meet him, which I think is where you see Doc on Balmora. But then you meet him at least a couple other times before you actually have this big confrontation.
Great voice. He's got a great voice.
Yeah, very cool voice.
Very distinct.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'll have to listen for him more now, because he does like Lord Rist, Lord Tural. Interestingly, there's General Lenal or Organa. Interesting, a lot of characters associated with Alderaan, actually, with his little side characters, but on different class stories, so you wouldn't necessarily like pick up that the same voice actor would be doing, it wouldn't necessarily be showing up again and again. And some of these are just little characters who just are mission givers and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, so
that's cool.
Yep. And let's see. So Lord Tural was on the consular story in Alderaan. If you play a consular, then you meet Lord Tural, but he's also Lord Rist, so there's that too. So yeah, lots of, he shows up a lot of times, and so thank you and rest in peace to Peter Renaday. So that was pretty cool. And that'll bring us to the holo feed. The Galactic Season objectives have been updated. We always have the policy of we put them in the show notes. If you have access to our show notes, you can look at them, or they are on SWTOR.com, of course. But we're not going to go through them one by one, because there's just too many. But if you want to find out what's coming up, they have made that available, which is pretty cool. There was an executive producer letter for the quarter 3 of 2024, and so this was I think it was entirely from Keith. Yeah, this is entirely from Keith, and so we'll kind of hit. This has happened a little over a week ago, so I think most people might have already had a chance to see this, but we'll hit some of the highlights for those who haven't. They basically did a snapshot of what had happened, some of the things that are upcoming, especially preparing for Game Update 7.6. So he did kind of go over 751, The Greatest Bounty. That's where Galactic Season 7 started. We had the Vet and Eric Jorgen date night missions, a bunch of new cartel market offerings, and the start of the Twitch drop campaign. So, which is still ongoing. And hopefully there'll be more of those, because people do seem to like them, and it's relatively simple. Like, you just go to SWTOR.com. There's a place to tell them what your Twitch account is and hook it up. And then anytime you watch a SWTOR stream, it doesn't have to be like the SWTOR dev stream. It can be our stream. It can be KittyKissz stream. It can be my stream, or any other stream that happens to be doing SWTOR. And you watch it, I believe, for 4 hours, and then you'll get a mount on all your characters. So Galactic Seasons is aptly named The Greatest Bounty, as it leans into playing the role of a bounty hunter. And then the bounty hunt contract in-game event is enabled for the entirety of Galactic Season 7, and it features the return of 16 Dark vs. Light event world bosses, which I've been able to do a couple of those with the guild, which is pretty fun. They are very tough fights, actually. Even with a pretty big group, and it's sort of like, because it's open world, sometimes you get help from other people and stuff, but they're pretty gnarly fights. So we had Vet and Eric Jorgen. Have you done the Eric Jorgen one now, Kitty, as well?
No,
Okay.
I haven't even gone through the Vet romance.
Right. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have
I
to.
kind of like to do it just, I don't know.
Right.
I want to do it just go through the whole story romancer and then do the date night, but
Okay.
that could
Yeah,
change tomorrow.
I've seen them both now. They both make sense for the character and so on. Eric Jorgen does sound a lot different, and I haven't been able to completely confirm it. So this is maybe I shouldn't be talking about it on the show, but apparently, it's the same voice actor, but he had like a stroke or some sort of other episode that he's recovering from. So his voice sounds different. Like he's still able to act. You can still tell that it's Eric Jorgen, and the voice is pretty similar, but it sounds significantly different at the same time. It's unfortunate. I feel for him, and I hope he gets better. I'm assuming that I have the right dope on that, but I haven't really been able to get a good confirmation on that. But that's what I understand happened. So he does expect him to sound a little bit different, but it's one of those things that unfortunately does happen. So we hope he gets better soon.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. So, and then there's more blah, 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 blah. Let's see. The Firebolt Edition bundle, which I think he even mentions it's like available, for a few more days. It's actually now closed. So the Firebolt bundle is now done. September 23rd was the last day. It was available for a little over a month. And I still use the heck out of it.
I use it on every character as
basically
much as possible.
Yeah, any character where I'm not doing a cosplay that sort of makes it not really work, I'm putting it on them on that one. And if I'm putting them on that one, I'm putting them on only that one. And the reason for that is because the speed boost at the beginning actually gets
awesome.
Yeah, but if you have it with like a random with a few other mounts or something, then it becomes awkward because like if you're not ready for it, you can like jump off a cliff because it's so fast. So if I'm using the Firebolt, I'm only using the Firebolt. I've also used the die packs a number of times now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I use them a lot.
Even for just casual stuff, like I do some stuff off the stream because I'm still doing Galactic Season on every server. And for the most part, that just involves like logging on every day, getting the 25,000, making sure I get the weekly 200,000. But then usually once a week, I'll try to go through and just hit a few like what I consider to be low-hanging fruit for soloing stuff. And in this case, it turned out for whatever, like the characters that I had made on one server didn't include one of the two that they had needed, because like this week it was like it was Smuggler and Bounty Hunter. It was called For the Right Price or something like that. And you have to have a bounty hunter or a smuggler, and I just happened to have not chosen those for my other characters. So I actually started one, and then I used one of those dies, and she looks really cool. So
nice.
Yep, easy peasy. And let's see, and then that's coming up. We're heads down for development on Game Update 7.6 Galactic Threads. This update is jam-packed, and you should expect to hear from us quite a bit. First up, in mid-October, we'll be back with a video showcasing our new content type that we teased on the 751 live stream, along with the new lair boss, as both of those head to PTS, so that'll be cool. Then just a short while later in November, we'll be back for the full live stream you've come to expect, where we reveal everything else coming in 7.6. We'll talk about where the Galactic Threads story is going. I think Galactic Threads is just sort of like the name for like the recent events. Like not necessarily just the last update, but the last few updates I think includes is where what they're calling Galactic Threads. Details on our art modernization efforts, because they've done that on multiple planets already, and more, so stay tuned, which is really cool. And then they had an update on the tech front. They're working on a native Mac launcher for SWTOR, so people who have a Mac will be able to play SWTOR directly on the Mac. Very interesting. I wish I do not have a Mac. Otherwise I would definitely test this, because it sounds really cool. I know there are definitely folks who are interested, and apparently they've been doing extensive internal testing, as he puts it, for some time now on late model Mac computers, and we're getting close to being able to roll that testing externally soon. In fact, they've done an update since this letter came out over a week ago.
Cool.
And so we'll talk about that in just a sec. And this stays directly in line with one of the key goals I've talked about when we added Steam as a platform and when we came back to the APAC region, and that we're going to keep pushing SWTOR onto new platforms and to new audiences whenever and wherever possible. And the cool thing about the Mac client is the same game on the same servers as the live game, so all your existing data will be available, which is cool. It would be a big ask to like have different servers for the Mac and like have enough Mac players to actually start a server up from scratch. Yeah. So this is definitely the right way to do it. Very exciting. If you have a Mac, you'll be able to play SWTOR, and you won't have to, some people would have would use a simulator. Others would have a separate actual PC to use it on. But if you prefer using a Mac, you will now be able to play SWTOR on it, which is very cool. And let's see. So on 9/24 yesterday, the SWTOR team opens the Mac OS technical test signups for eligible players. So they're looking for players who have an active subscription or preferred account. So not free to play, but if you've even just become preferred at any point, and a lot of people have, that works. Or active subscription, of course, works as well. Players who use a Mac with an M series chipset, M1, M2, or etc. A Mac OS 14 Sonoma or newer. Older Mac OS versions will not work, at least during the test. Currently, this is not compatible with pre-2020 Macs with Intel processors. So if you need to find out if you have an Intel-based Mac, you follow the steps. Click the Apple icon in the upper left corner, choose About This Mac. If the window shows an item labeled chip, then you have a Mac with the Apple Silicon. You will be able to participate in the test. If the window shows an item labeled processor, you have an Intel-based Mac, and you will not be able to participate in the test. Interesting. So apparently Intel no longer makes chips for Macs, and they're using something else since about 2020. All these little details you don't know about. Keep the following in mind. While it is a technical test, the launcher will be using a live environment. This is a technical test, so unexpected issues may pop up, such as not being able to log into the game or the client crashing. Should these issues occur, there will not be loss of data, for example, inventory or characters, and all technical tests will be available in English only. If you meet the criteria above and are interested in helping them, then they do have a link. You can go to SWTOR.com to find this article, and then there'll be a link. If you are accepted in the test, you'll receive an email with further instructions from them. And they're going to keep that form open until October 8th. So there's a couple weeks to get it, basically. Very cool. And there was, let's see. Yeah, they already heard that. The Silver Lime Empire. That really is all the same thing. I pulled out the thing they put on the forums, but it really is basically the same thing that was there. So we're good there. Let's see. So there, in terms of other things going on that the devs have been talking about, apparently certain companions, Vet, and apparently sometimes also Lana and some other ones are sometimes showing up with like glove bugs, where like if you have your companion without gloves, Vet and perhaps Lana and a couple of other companions will show up with like their original gloves on, no matter what, sort of thing. So that is something they're aware of. There is the Prita, the Dark versus Light boss. So there's a bunch of Dark versus Light bosses, on different planets and so on. The one named Prita is currently bugged, but not completely. There's a workaround for it. Yeah, so this one likes to reset. Right, yeah, no one likes it. No one likes to reset, even for like a normal boss mob, but for a boss, yeah, definitely not nasty. Players will need to pull Prita onto the sand away from the ridge, the dark brown rocks, where she initially spawns. But be careful not to pull her too far from the spawn point, because that will also make the fight reset.
They need a sweet spot icon.
Yeah, the team is working on a fix for this boss, but it will come in a future patch after the weekly objective is reset. Players will see the fix applied when Prita is rotated back into the weekly objectives. Until then, please utilize the workaround suggested above. So, onto the sand, away from the dark brown ridge rocks, where she initially spawns. And let's see. There was a purchase issue for players who bought various things on September 8th. Impacted players have received their items. However, there may be some players who have not. And if you are a player who has not received purchase items from September 7th and 8th, then please reach out to support is what they ask you to do. And let's see.
Here's the support link in chat.
Yep. There's a Furious Brinjak amount. It's snuck onto Kayat Thavo's inventory, but is really supposed to be with Jaliat Null and available on weeks B and D because they have these rotation things going on for the seasonal vendors. And then Kayat Thavo should have the armored Brinjak only if the season is over or if the player has a free/preferred account. And then they're going to update that and fix it in an upcoming patch. So not too much going on. I think there's a little bit of a quiet period here now, and then they're going to...
Calm before the storm.
Right, the storm, because there was an indication, I believe, that the dev stream was probably going to be in October. Sounded like early mid-October, but we don't have a date yet. We don't know when, and that could get pushed off or whatever. So we don't know. But when that happens, we're going to have the news will be a lot longer for sure. But Mark Hamill turns 73 years old today, so
he looks great for 73, birthday. Man.
He really does.
Happy birthday, Mark Hamill.
He's definitely aged gracefully. He usually rocks the full beard now, kind of very, sort of Kenobi-ish, actually.
Yeah.
And Luke, yeah. I mean, Luke, but you know what I mean. We actually, before Luke, got to the sequels, we got to see, the aging of Kenobi a little earlier. So that's always the one I think of when I think of like Padawans being clean shaven, and then as they become knights and then masters, they they get more and more facial hair. Anyway,
right.
So happy birthday! Pretty awesome. He seems to be a really great guy too. Yeah, and 73. Wow, pretty amazing. All right, Kitty. Anything else going on with you, or before the next show? Anything like that?
Nope, nothing on my end.
Yep, you've already talked about how you're changing your schedule again. Yep. So you will be streaming on Sundays, but you'll be streaming WoW on that day, correct. And then Monday and Tuesday will go back to being your off days.
That is correct.
Excellent.
That is correct, sir.
Then that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Teal Sean server, or in our
Utini Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to utinicast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @UtiniCast or Mastodon @UtiniCast@mastodon.world. You can find contact details for us on our website, utinicast.com, which includes how to subscribe using iTunes and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, streaming at twitch.tv/UtiniCast. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room.
Thanks for being here, chat.
And we'll see you next show.
Catch you on the flip side.
All right. And is there anywhere where we should be looking to send our folks here? Do a little Raiderino? Let's see. I'm actually able to get over here.
See here.
Let's do the same category. Not really.
Tox Pack's on. But
Our Magic and Comic is on.
Oh yeah, Magic and Comic.
We like them, right?
Yeah, she's
let's
great.
Do them. All right, we'll raid Magic and Comic here. Looks like they're doing Warrior Stir because I'm seeing Darth Barris. And thanks for coming, everyone, and have a good one.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Okay, there's the raid, and then I'll stop the stream. Stop.